Beautiful view down onto Mulsanne, heading off the old road onto the current road, off the road onto the Porsche curves, this modern part of the race circuit that bypasses the old Maison Blanche corner, and the old run straight down at high speed past the pit lane, which up until the 1960s was just a set of stands beside the racetrack with no protection for the drivers or for the mechanics, and down into the Ford chicane, just past the building, right on the very end there behind the big plasma screen, which is where our commentary booths are, and starting another lap of this fabulous circuit. And Martin Haven with Mark Cole and Liz Halliday here. Mark, always great to see this circuit from the air, because of course we're so close to it down at ground level that you don't really get an idea of the size of it unless you try and walk any great distance.
Yeah, and the other thing, it flows. Le Mans really flows. It's got these beautiful fast sweeping bends, and you get those all together and right. You've only really got one slow corner on the whole track, and that's down at Arnage, and that you have to treat with huge respect. But as Liz will tell you, as a racing driver, the most fearsome part of the circuit is what we've just seen, Liz, the Porsche curves.
Yeah, the Porsche curves is a place where you can very easily lose up to 5 seconds or gain it there without even blinking, really. It's just a matter of what traffic you meet, especially if you're an LMP car. It's a very high-speed portion of the circuit in one of those. You enter the corner with just a dab on the brakes and in fifth gear, flat through the next two lefts if you're in an LMP. And then it's the very treacherous right to left near the end. But as I've said, very narrow space, easy to lose some time. And here are some frantic people
this is
trying to get into this Porsche.
It is our class leader.
Yeah.
The other car came in and had work done on it, the 91 car. That dropped it a little bit back, but the 92 cars had very quick work on it. They did a bit of a brake change earlier on in the darkness hours, and it looks as though it's getting oil topped up. And again, this is a sort of 1980s Group C full service. 70 Corvette facing the wrong way again.
And this was the car that had that big accident before the race started. That was in practice, wasn't it, if I'm correct?
Yes,
morning warm-up.
Morning warm-up.
So, yeah, this car has had a tough trip, and I dare say their mechanics are already very tired after the work they've had to do this morning.
Been spending a degree of time facing in the wrong direction, and unless he can select reverse, he's going to knock the nose off the car again. 11th in class at the moment and outside the top 48, so he may be our last running car at the moment. I can't actually see him anywhere on page 1 or 2 of the timing screen, so I'm assuming he's on page 3.
Andrew Scorgi has asked us on Twitter, has a driver ever been banned from competing mid-Le Mans 24 before? Keep thinking this could happen to Romain Brandela today. Well, sadly, we do remember when Stuart Hall was excluded from the race when he was racing the Aston Martin LMP1 car for contact with, I believe it was the Greaves Radical at the time, if I recall. It was a really difficult situation because Stuart, of course, we know and love, and is a very talented driver, one I've shared a car with myself, and we've shared the commentary box, and it was a difficult situation, and I think there was another one at one stage. But we'll go back to this number 32 car, which is looking like the front end is pretty punched into the wall and sitting in the gravel. He's asking them to push him back, which is going to be a big feat. Look at these two marshals are thinking, how are we going to push this thing back on our own?
Well, you know, I don't think there's a gravel trap that's had a quiet time of it. I think any marshal here at this race, when they go home, like most of the drivers, will know they've been in a race, because it's been very busy. And yet again, can't say enough respect to the marshals for standing out there in filthy weathers with all sorts of cars throwing themselves at the scenery and rescuing them on a continual basis.
And that's on the run down to Mulsanne, by the way. That car's gone in.
And he was just trying to leave enough room for the pro class cars to go by him. I'm afraid left a little too much.
Maybe just a little too hot as well. Wow, that is
straight off
that Mulsanne? No, that's Mulsanne corner.
Is that Mulsanne corner?
Yeah,
that's Mulsanne corner.
Okay.
Definitely.
Luckily, it's a soft wall.
And I think he's just missed his braking point there.
Now, who's going very slowly? That's a very slow prototype in front, is it?
I don't know that it is. I don't think it is that slow.
Right, and as that was happening, we've got a change for GT Pro. Bruno Senna's gone through into the lead ahead of Leitz. They've both had pit stops now. Leitz is now on his out lap, but he has fallen behind Bruno Senna. So we're back to the situation that Liz and I left at midnight, with Aston Martin leading Porsche and Aston Martin. This one's just rocking and rolling.
Oh, what a fight it is there in the Pro class. Fantastic. It's a fight we sort of thought would happen, but I thought Ferrari was going to be up there. I really thought it was going to be Aston, Ferrari, creeping up, and Porsche pushing.
They are creeping up. Giancarlo Fisichella is in 5th position in that class in the 51 Ferrari. This is Darrell O'Young, 2nd in the GTE Pro class. Incidentally, our race leader, Loic Duval, on pit road for regular service. Raymond Narak, 55 seconds between Darrell O'Young and Matt Griffin, who we just saw. Griffin, I think, stopped on the same lap as Darrell last time round. Out goes the race leader.
And Matt Griffin, such a great driver and really enjoying this race. I can't remember how many appearances. I think he's only had one appearance here before, and they didn't finish.
Can't be many. Can't be many.
But such a good driver. I used to race in the same team as Matt 10 years ago, which is pretty scary to think of.
Spends a lot of time racing in British GT. But he was a really good driver, and nice to see him here again doing so well. Yeah, absolutely. And he will have been. He spent a lot of time racing with and against Alan Simonson, so he'll be really suffering as well. There's so many friends and former, well, on-track rivals of Alan Simonson are here, as well as his family and his teammates.
Raymond Narak on board the GTM leading car. Great performance again by Matt Mutt, IMSA Performance Porsche, and they really have got this car hooked up. Raymond's been racing for so many years, 46, but showing he can still run out front there, Liz, and this is just so good, isn't it? He's essentially a gentleman driver, but
very quick.
He is a Porsche dealer in Rouen, so that's why he's got so much factory backing.
Yeah, and he's gotten quicker every year, I think, and shown that the right package really in the AM class is to find yourself a quick amateur. Yeah. And there was a lot of chat saying the battle for the LMP2 and the AM class was going to be who was the amateur in the car, and was the amateur good enough to be up to scratch to keep pushing the time, and I think we're starting to see that in the amateur class.
Well, as with everything, it's the weakest link that makes the decisions, isn't it? And the strongest weak link, if you like, your strongest AM driver or your strongest slower driver in the car is what's going to keep your average speed up. And Raymond Narak, well, he's in with Jean-Carl Vernet, whose speed, although he's very new to Le Mans, is not really too much of a question. Christophe Bourret does seem to be holding his end up of the bargain, so we'll have to wait and see when Bourret gets back in whether that IMSA Matmut Porsche remains in the lead of its class.
Interestingly, Narak is not just a Le Mans specialist. He's had huge success here, but also 2011 he was the LMS champion in GTM, and last year he was the ELMS champion. Of course, Lava Corvette just kept shooting themselves in the foot. They got disqualified from 2 races for being underweight or being too low, and then what was it, one race their fire extinguisher was out of date and they were disqualified from the race from that. So Jacques Leconte had to get his team by the scruff of the neck and shake it, and okay, they did win Le Mans, but they lost everything else.
At that level of motorsport, I mean, if it was club racing, you'd go, all right then. But not at that level, not at international level.
Level of GTE performance is really starting to close up. 20 seconds now between Peter Dumbreck pushing on hard in the Aston Martin Art car. He's in 4th place. Patrick Pilet in front of him, 20 seconds up the road. 3 seconds in front of Pilet last lap was Richard Leitz in 2nd place, because of course that car is stuck in the garage, and that will change. Leitz will go from the lead to 4th as the 2 cars behind him cross the line. So that number 52 Porsche, 91 Porsche Richard Leitz is back out on pit apron, and that's perhaps going to save them. There's a driver change there as well. Who has Richard handed over to? Not sure.
Patrick Pilet.
Yeah, and for the first time in the race, Martin, the Ferrari have made page 1 of our timing screens. That's in 24th place, Jimmy Bruni. He's just been in the pits for a service. He's back out on track now, having taken that car over from Giancarlo Fisichella.
Right, so Richard Leitz is up into 2nd place now. Patrick Pilet has taken over as Peter Dumbreck goes up into 3rd. The 91 car is on pit road. Patrick Pilet has taken it over, and he will go out in 4th place. The car came in from the lead. Still don't know quite what the drama was.
They were topping it up with oil, weren't they? So,
yes, pouring in a lot of oil.
Yeah.
And let's just remember the number 51 car. That's two of the drivers in Jimmy Bruni and Giancarlo Fisichella, who had that fairy tale win last year in their Ferrari in the Pro class. After an enormous accident in practicing qualifying, they barely even got the car ready for the race, if I recall. It was really difficult, and you know, I think we were saying from the get-go, wouldn't it be wonderful if they could win them all after that crash? And they went out and did it.
They did. It was the commentator's curse failed that year. So it's,
but now, in other news during the night, every time I mention somebody, within half a lap, they go off at the first chicane.
So it's your fault that people crash. So any of you out there that think it has to do with any of the rest of us, it's not. It's all Martin's fault.
In the same way you were the queen of red flags, I am the king of cursing people into going off at the first chicane. Although now that it has got daylight, they appear to be able to spot where the chicane is slightly more easily.
And again, for the first time, we've got all four top pro runners. The first four are on the same lap, 208, with Bruni just one lap behind. That's going to change in a minute because Bruni is, in fact, he's just gone out. He's on his out lap. Timo Bernhard has taken over the fourth place Porsche from Richard Leitz.
Rel Goethe in the pit there, you saw there, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place in the AM class, in the GTs, in his Aston Martin. And it is his Aston Martin as well. It's going into his Gulf liveried collection just as soon as they get it to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and
he will have created the car's own heritage, won't he?
Yes, in fact.
Which will be unique in his collection, I believe.
Wow.
Just a few weeks ago, Raoul actually bought the winning Gulf Mirage that Derek Bell and Jackie Eakes drove in 1975. Wow. So that collection is getting better. He's got T-shirts with the cars on, which Stuart designed, and every year he's having to change the T-shirts because more and more cars are being added. There's about,
oh my goodness,
about 18 Gulf liveried cars he owns at the moment.
It's pretty spectacular.
And Adrian Hamilton is one of the men, in fact, predominantly the man who has been putting him in touch with all the father of Archie Hamilton, whose car retired a little bit earlier on in the race, and of course the son of Duncan Hamilton, who was our winner 60 years ago with Tony Rolt.
Tell us about Archie's then. That went out during the night, did it?
It did go out during the night, and if I had some of my wits about me, I could probably remember why, but I can't, I'm afraid. So might have to go and look for that on a sheet of abandons.
Couldn't be the
Twitter fans if they remember, because we weren't here.
Couldn't be the orange road under the brake pedal.
I'm hoping not.
Hope
no.
Not. The thing was pretty petrified, so I don't think it would have had much give.
Service for Marc Genet.
Marc Genet currently lying in 4th place. This Audi creeping up towards the Toyotas. Now it's doing about the same lap times as Alexander Wurz in front. Sebastian Buemi jumped Wurz about a little over an hour ago and is still lapping 3 to 4 seconds a lap quicker than Alexander Wurz in his desperate chase of the lead Audi of Loic Duval. With 8 hours to go, this race is definitely not over for Toyota.
Welcome back to Eurosport Live here at Le Mans. The time here is 6:45 Sunday morning. Spectators heading off for Mass. Well, some of them are heading off for Mass. And we've got a great race on our hands in GT Pro. We've got Bruno Senna from Richard Leitz, Peter Dumbreck, Timo Bernhardt, and then only one lap behind them, Ferrari. Jimmy Bruni, who's finally hauled the AF Corsa Ferrari up onto the first page of our leaderboard, 24th overall. And Martin Haven, that battle is going to rock and roll, surely, all the way to 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, honestly, I can't see how you could even remotely think any one of the 4 classes is within 4 hours of being settled, never mind within 8 hours of being settled. This is just ridiculously tight in all the classes. Incidentally, just before we went on the break, we were talking about Archie Hamilton and his grandfather and the orange and all the other bits and bobs, and Roel Goethe's collection assembled by Adrian Hamilton. And thanks to Adam Weller, reminding me that the number 30 car that Archie Hamilton shared with Tony Burgess went out when the transaxle separated from the rest of the car in a huge shunt at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Big shunt. I believe that Tony is A-OK, but the car definitely was very much split in half.
Well, we've got a problem for the leading Rebellion Lola. The rear engine cover is reported to be loose. Matthew Besh on board that car at the moment.
A minute ago when we saw it go by.
Well, at least they've got a spare.
Yeah, and they're 2 laps ahead of sister car of Neil Jani, so they've got the luxury of being able to make a pit stop and not lose position if they can secure that, Liz.
Yeah, Neil Jani lost that position. He had a bit of a long stop in the darkness again, sort of early hours of this morning, and dropped back behind his teammate, and that just hasn't been able to get on terms. Of course, 2 identical cars, fairly closely matched driver teams, as the number 1 Audi is finding very, very hard to make ground on similar cars driven in a similar manner.
Yeah, and just behind those 2 Rebellions is the 21 Stracker. Nick Leventis now on board the car, and Johnny Kane put it off again during the night. His second big off of Le Mans week. It's very uncharacteristic of Johnny, isn't it? But Nick Leventis, obviously the gentleman driver, he's that much slower than Benoit Trellier, who's coming in from behind, and Trellier almost 20 seconds a lap quicker. And Nick surely is going to fall victim to him before long. Trellier in the number 1 car that was delayed with that, it was a crankshaft sensor, wasn't it, during the evening?
In fact, Johnny Kane looped it round at the Ford chicane, just backed it into the gravel. As we said earlier on, if you've got no nose, if you're going in, make sure you go in backwards. And at least he did that. No damage done. He was dragged out. It only took a couple of minutes, got dragged out, turned around and drove straight back into the pits for service. So no major dramas. But again, it was just an indication as conditions were going from night to light and from slippery and slimy to not quite so nasty, even the best get caught out.
Fastest man in LMP2 at the moment is Mike Conway, a blinding 3 minutes 40, which is by far the fastest time at the moment. Wow. 3:38, my goodness, and that's a lot quicker than anyone else in LMP2 at the moment. He's pushing really hard to gain themselves back up into a possible podium position at the moment, and is hunting down Jan Mardenborough, who just did a 3:43, which is still quite quick, but 5 seconds slower.
And there he is on screen, Mike Conway, really flying. Just for those of you that are just joining us, get a look at his helmet. It's been designed to look like an old-fashioned racer's helmet with the goggles up over the brow. And Mike Conway is first Le Mans. And like Martin Plowman, you know, done most of his single-seater racing career recently in the States, and both of them have put in singularly impressive performances here this weekend.
Seeing some of the teams there wrapped up in blankets. It has been a fairly cold night.
I don't think those SR2 boys were expecting this sort of temperatures, because you don't get those in America except for Daytona in Florida.
Yeah, we just saw our GTE AM leader being serviced, Raymond Norak, getting out of the car, and as Martin suggested, Christophe Bourret will probably climb on board that. Here's the number 8 Toyota, Liz. This is the lead Toyota. Sebastian Buemi stays on board. That's in second place, and it's 2 minutes 39 behind the lead Audi. So still on the lead lap. How good is that?
This is fantastic. I mean, we've come into the morning, it's daylight. We still have 3 Audis trucking around and 2 Toyotas, and 2 Toyotas are in the top 3. That's brilliant. This is a much better fight than I think we actually even suspected.
Didn't we ever dare to hope for, yes. Listen, just getting back to Mike Conway while the time is on the screen, his last lap, his fastest of the race, 3 minutes 38.807. Fastest lap last year, 3:38.803. 4 thousandths off the LMP2 record, Mike Conway, on that last lap.
But Morgan are upping the ante just ahead of him as well. They've just put in, well, Bertrand Baguette's just put in the 35 car's fastest lap, and Olivier Pla is also on a flyer. He's just done his car's fastest second sector. He is the leader.
So first and second with fastest laps coming up. Jan Mardenborough we're with, third in the LMP2 class, and that car's still really in contention. 3:42.2 to the 3:41.3 of Baguette in front, and the 3:43.9 of leader Olivier Pla, who's worlds more experienced than Mardenborough at Le Mans, at prototype racing, and at everything else. So Mardenborough right in the hunt there, and he and Lucas Ordonez and Michael Krum could easily end up on the podium. Ordonez was on the podium his first ever race here at Le Mans in the LMP2 class, and Mardenborough just could do exactly the same thing. And again, showing how that Nissan PlayStation GT Academy that Liz has been involved with has really come up with a great way of selecting these drivers. And somebody earlier on Twitter was saying, I really want to become a racing driver. At the moment, all I do is simulators. 2 years ago, all Jan Mardenborough did was play on his PlayStation. He entered a competition, the GT Academy, played on GT5, went to Silverstone, got selected, went through the tests, and here he is. He is racing at Le Mans instead of sitting on his couch watching it. If you want to be part of it, find out about GT Academy. Google is your friend. Other friends are available online. And, you know, you never know. You could be being grilled in Silverstone in the summer. And who knows? We might be sitting here talking about one of you sitting on your couch. And it's not just the UK. Wherever you are in the world, you may end up being part of the Nissan GT Academy program.
First step is buying Gran Turismo and get playing.
Play Gran Turismo 5 until your eyes bleed and your thumbs are solid joints, because...
And then finish your homework. But Jan has made a couple of rookie errors here at Le Mans, Liz, but that can be forgiven, can't it? He's only 21. It's only his second season of racing, as you said.
And his first LMP2 race. And it's been a really tricky Le Mans. I will give him that. You know, you don't... It's your first Le Mans. You don't really want it to be mixed conditions, you know. I'm feeling a little bit smug now. I had a dry race in my first one. I'm thinking, thank goodness it wasn't this one.
Think of all the really good and really experienced drivers who have made lots of rookie errors as well.
Well, we just talked about Johnny Kane.
Exactly. You know, putting a car off in a race like this and still keeping it going and still being in the hunt for the podium, that's not any disgrace. You know, when you finish this race, if you get to the checkered flag, boy, you're going to know you've been in a race, whatever car you're in.
Yeah, no, I think it's been, well, you're going to know you've been here all week, and some of the trickiest conditions I can remember for them all. You know, I've spoken to a lot of people that have been coming here many more years longer than me, that say they can't ever remember as many red flags in practice and qualifying.
Only one session. No session went through in practice and qualifying without a red flag. Only one actually finished with a checkered flag, and that had been red flagged in the middle as well. So, yes, it's been enormously difficult for teams and for drivers. And we've already had a record 8 safety cars. We've got 8 hours to go. That's over 4 Formula 1 Grand Prix. How many times do you get 4 Formula 1 Grand Prix in mixed weather without a safety car?
And I would love to sit here and say, well, now the sun's coming out. It's going to be perfect for the rest of the race. But I don't know. I think we could still get some more showers or something odd.
Well, it could come, and
moments.
honestly, if this week teaches us nothing, it could come at any minute, at any place on the track. So all these guys are getting as much shut-eye as they possibly can. You never know when they're going to need it. Stop and go penalty, incidentally, for car 40.
That's the Batson-Guignan Nissan.
Well, that was handed a drive-through penalty for speeding before. And the weather forecast is for drizzle, 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 drizzle from pretty much midday on.
Quite situation normal then this year, isn't it?
Which will make for a very exciting finish to this race. I remember, what was 2007? My goodness, do you remember the torrential rain at the end of the race?
Wow.
At that stage, my car was out already. It had gone out at 9 o'clock in the morning with a gearbox failure, and I was sitting indoors feeling a bit cheesed off that we hadn't finished, but thinking, gee, I'm glad I'm not driving in this right now.
Just occasionally being out of the cockpit is not such a bad thing. 42 Nissan on pit road.
This is Jan Mardenborough.
It is indeed. BRDC rising stars driver.
And that's an early pit stop for him, has he not? I thought he only just went out recently.
Not sure, but
that seems a bit early.
There was nothing there other than fuel.
Maybe I'm just going crazy because I haven't any sleep. I'm sure he hadn't been in the car for very long at all.
Well, he comes out just ahead of Mike Conway, who's fourth.
Now, how much in front of Mike Conway is he? Oh, Olivier Platt on pit road as well. The leader in class is on pit road in LMP2.
He was due
Patrick Dempsey getting into the number 77 car, I think.
Yes, he is.
They've had a very good race so far.
They have had a good race.
Yeah, he might be a star, but he has done all his share of the night driving.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he's
a good driver. He is.
He's not here to flounce around and you know, just have fun. He is here to try and win this race. Has made mistakes, but then, you know, you show me a driver in the race that has not made mistakes, and I'll show you a very unusual individual.
I don't want to remind you of what you missed, Martin, but the caption just there, born in the USA, I thought, you know, just...
Yeah, well.
Oh, my.
That was a long time ago, that concert now, Martin. Did you get to Earth, Wind and Fire last night, Liz?
No, I didn't. No, I was working the whole time, actually.
We had Earth, Wind and Rain last night.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had Greg Murphy, and he didn't want to go to Earth, Wind and Fire. We sent him the other direction to see the Commitments.
Oh, right.
Now, if I'd known the Commitments were actually here and that wasn't just a gag, I might have gone to see them. Andrew Strong, what a pair of lungs. Meanwhile, Aston Service will get a quick break in ourselves.
Les 24 heures du Mans, c'est bien entendu, et pour longtemps encore,
You're here on Eurosport. We're just having a change in the cabin. Martin Haven, who's done a long shift on the long night's journey in today. Well done, Martin. Thank you very much. We'll see you later on. And Jeremy Shaw, hot off the pit lane, is just about to take over, and as Jeremy joins us, really exciting time, especially in the GT Pro category, where we have got a five-way battle developing between two Aston Martins, two Porsches, and a F Corsa Ferrari finally getting into the frame. It's taken them a long time. It's taken them some 16 hours to get to this position, but Jimmy Bruni now starting to attack Timo Bernhardt's factory Porsche. He's on the same lap. He's 2 minutes 22 seconds behind, and ahead of him Peter Dumbreck for Aston Martin, ahead of him Richard Lietz for Porsche, and then Bruno Senna, a rookie here at Le Mans, leading here after those 16 hours of racing. Jeremy, good morning. Good to have you back with us.
Always good to be here. Pleasure, honour, in fact.
So how's your night been?
Last couple, I had about an hour or so sleep, and a quick rustle up in the shower, so, well, sort of shower. So no, feeling a little bit refreshed. It's great.
7 o'clock in 7 o'clock in the morning here, 6 o'clock in the UK, of course. So yeah, that's where we are. And a strange Le Mans. had a record number of safety cars, 8 of them I believe now, 7 red flags in practice and qualifying, and been very, very bizarre, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has, no question about that. But you know, since not much has changed, it seems, since I left here about 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, and not much has changed since then. There's been a couple of shuffles down, it looks like, in the P2 class. Other than that, it's a situation as it was in P1 with the although the number 7 car's fallen a lap off, hasn't it, off the lead in there. There's the overall classification running down the order. You can see there the number 42 Zytek Nissan, Jan Mardenborough, doing a fantastic job there in 3rd place in that class, behind only now the 2 Oak Racing machines of Bertrand Baguette driving number 35 car and Olivier Pla in 24. And farther down the order, the best place of the GTE cars. There is a leader in GTE AM, car number 76. Raymond Narak has been doing a sterling job there, as indeed has Jean-Carl Vernet, who really has been a star in that car. It's a great stint.
Despite his history, his provenance, he's a rookie here at Le Mans.
Oh, well, he is, but he won last year's Porsche Carrera Cup Series in France. He's won the India Lights Championship in America before that. He's been finished 2nd in the Macau Grand Prix. This guy's a superstar. He should be racing in a lot higher. With no disrespect for GTE AM, he should be racing in a series a lot higher category than that. Of course, he was a test driver for Peugeot before.
And he was ready to be given his break by Peugeot at Sebring when they pulled the plug.
Exactly. So you know, he's a known quantity. The guy's quick.
Now, very, very interestingly, Jeremy, those top 3 cars in LMP2, you're just talking about, the 2 Oak Morgans and the Zytek behind, all 3 have Zytek engines, because those 2 more, a lot of the field, all the Oreca Nissans actually have their Nissan engines now prepared by Hugh de Schonak's Oreca team, but Morgan still had their engines prepared by Zytek, and it's a Zytek engine which is in 3rd place in Mardenborough's car. So this, if the podium's going to be like that, it'd be a great, great day for John Manchester and all the guys from Zytek.
No question about it, and without wishing to take away anything from that, Mike Conway is his car, the Delta ADR car, that's using the Oreca Nissan engine. He just set fastest lap of the race in P2. So, you know, it just shows the equality of the competition, the quality and the equality of the competition in P2. Fabulous.
Yeah, we've got another Zytek a little further down, Simon Dolan, who's running 7th in P2, and right behind him, Scott Tucker with the HPD Honda. So it's not all Nissan. We've got Zytek and we've got Honda as well here running, so quite a good mixture.
Yeah, and the level 5 motorsports car number 33, it's what places it overall 17th, so 9th place in the class. That's moved up a position since I left earlier on this morning, and that car's been fast actually. They've had some problems. They had some, I think, engine management problems effectively all the way through the evening yesterday, which dropped them 7 or 8 laps, I think, or 4 or 5 laps at least off the pace, ultimate pace in P2. But I think other than that car might have been right up in the front, because Ryan Briscoe, I think it was, did the first stint in that car and came from quite a long way down the grid right up into the top 3 or 4. So he was charging, and it was only a few delays that put him back in the pack.
We've got another change in GTE Pro, just going through the pit stop cycle. So Bruno Senna, who's just on his outlap, has dropped to 3rd behind Porsche's Richard Leitz and his teammate Peter Dumbrek, and Liz has just arrived back with coffee and croissants. We are in France, of course.
Don't I look after you guys?
Wow.
Right, so back on board with the number 8 Toyota. Just looking at this circuit, it's now looking dry. Even offline, it's quite dry, but you can start to see just some of the debris creeping into the circuit. We have been going for a long time now. And just a lovely helicopter shot here. Just gives you a great idea of the sort of lines these cars are taking and how vast the circuit is. It's over 8.5 miles long. Fantastic opportunity for anybody to come drive on one of the greatest circuits in the world. The longest straights of any circuit in Europe, I think possibly anywhere that sports car racing runs in.
Just about anything runs in anywhere, in actual fact. 3.5 miles, I think it is. Well, I think it's a funny story. When I first came to Le Mans, was not as a spectator at the race, race. I was just on my way down to the Monaco Grand Prix in the middle 70s, and I drove through as many sort of road race tracks as I could on my way down there. This was pre-auto routes, pre-péage anyhow, and I drove around Rouen, drove later on around Clermont-Ferrand, all the way down fantastic road circuits, and came into the town of Le Mans, found the Route Nationale down here. I found saw the Tête Rouge, those distinctive trees on the left-hand side of the track, so I knew exactly where I was there. But great, here we are, we're on the Mulsanne Straight, so we're driving on down the Mulsanne Straight. We can see later the restaurant on the left, fabulous fun. Wow, this is so cool. Driving along, at sort of 55, 60 miles an hour probably, and driving along. And there's four of us in the car, in the Hotel Cortina, and did anybody, we drive for what seems like ever, did anybody see Mulsanne Corner? No, nobody saw it. Crikey, that's bizarre. How do we miss it? No idea. What do we want to do? Do we want to turn around and go back and find it and drive around the rest of the track? Because then you could drive around the whole track before the cut off some of the circuit. And we thought, oh dear, what do we want to turn back and go back? We got an awful long way to go. Look, hey, we've seen Tête Rouge, we've seen the Mulsanne Corner, Mulsanne straightaway. Great. Now let's carry on. Okay, fine, great. So we had all this conversation, and we're still driving. And what seemed like an hour later, wow, there's Mulsanne Corner. It can't possibly be that long, can it? And indeed, so that just shows. I mean, I've been around racing, several years. That even at that stage, hadn't been here to see the race. But that just shows how long that racetrack was.
Have you seen the REM circuit? Which
yeah.
Again, a long straight there as well.
Nothing like this.
But sitting on this, I mean, it really is a chance to have a rest, and it does, even at 200 miles an hour, it does go on for a long time, and it must sound funny to everyone at home, but it really is your chance to rest. You have a little, maybe just move your fingers on the wheel, have a little check of all your mirrors first, checking the gate, checking the telemetry, just making sure everything is where it should be. We heard the Audi drivers were saying they now get to scroll through the sort of a little screen on their wheel, and they can check the tire pressures of all four tires. I mean, telemetry has just come on so far, and it is fantastic. And quite often what you're doing while you're just trucking along the straight is your team's maybe talking to you, saying switch to map 4, you can change everything. There's a lot going on other than just driving for all the drivers.
Another aspect of it is a little bit different now, because when I was first here, there were no chicanes down there, so you had a minute or more of doing, of twiddling your thumbs and more relaxation. Now, at that part of the track is actually a little bit more difficult because you have to concentrate on the chicanes coming up.
But at 1983, Derek Bell took me around in the Rothmans Porsche in the days when we gave Group C journalists were given media rides, and in that Rothmans Porsche, I had a crash helmet but no belt. I was jammed into the passenger seat, and Derek took me down the chute, and he took the hands off the wheel. He said, we got tram lines from the truck, so take hands off the wheel. Anyway, we got back in after amazing lap. And I said, what were we doing? He said, about 220.
I wouldn't take my hands off the wheel on Mulsanne, I'll tell you that much.
I was lucky enough to get a ride around here. He was in a C2 car, the Ecos car in '85, and boy, that was an experience. So we weren't doing 220, but we were doing just about 200, and that was running in a brand new transmission too. Incredible.
Lights flashing as this LMP2 car comes around, a couple GTs. As we talked about it before, these cars do have to run with lights on in the day and the night. It is a normal rule here at Le Mans, also in the American Le Mans Series, ELMS and WEC. And actually, I think that's a good thing. It just keeps you clear as to which car is coming up behind. You've probably noticed that the GT cars have yellow lights and all of the LMP cars have white lights, and you can just get a good view there of how different the Audi lights are. It's a different shape, really, really bright LED lights. You can see the sort of the clusters coming down the front there.
And this car holding an unenviable record this year, the most stops. That's the 24th stop that the #1 car has made. Of course, they're in the garage for a long time, having the crankshaft sensor changed.
I wonder if that'll beat our record. I think Intersport might hold the record of the most stops ever.
We've still got almost 8 hours to go. That was a year and a half, wasn't it, for you, Liz?
I think we had 48 stops or something like that.
Jan Mardenbrough's just done his car's fastest middle sector, and that's impressive. Here's a nice replay of of Jean-Carl Vernet, in fact, and just looking at some of the other opposition. There is the 125 years of Dunlop car, and there door flying open.
Goodness, that's really open, isn't it?
And that was last night, and we've had reports again about 10 minutes ago that door is flapping open again.
Get the gaffer tape out. That's another job for gaffer.
I think when they had the court case last week, they took the door handles as well, didn't they? But the court closure now, and that's all behind us. So, messy.
There's another gaffer taped up car. I think we were all joking earlier saying you could near enough build a race car in gaffer tape, but you certainly can hold most of it together.
And this is the other Matmut car. They've got two running, of course. This is the 67 car and the 76 car. They swap them around. Well, Liz, a long way to go yet. As we said, almost 8 hours, and this GT Pro is just absolutely amazing at the moment, isn't it? It's 2 laps covering the whole field as they're going through the pit stop cycle. But up front, it's still Audi. Loic Duval from Toyota, and who would have forecast that?
No, this is
3 o'clock yesterday
We're
afternoon.
seeing a really fantastic race here. We're quite a few hours in. However, everyone starts to think you hit the morning, you hit daylight on the Sunday. It feels like got through the night. We're getting there, and then you realise how many hours are still left to go in this race, and it's a long way.
5 Grand Prix still to go. Yeah.
It's a very long way to go still.
And Mike Gascoigne made that point last night.
Did he?
Said, it's really tough getting used to this. You know, I thought after an hour and a half we could all pack up and go home, and then someone said, no, you've got another 22 and a half hours to go.
No, it is difficult, and I'm glad that we've still got a fight going in every class. That's fantastic. By this time last year, the Toyotas were gone. We were just watching Audi doing what Audi does best, which is hammer along at the front. But this year, we've still got a race in all 4 classes going on, and it's a hot race as well.
Tom Christensen gets in the number 2 car. We're not going to give it the commentator's curse, but if he won today, 9 victories.
My goodness,
if he won
that's
today,
quite amazing. And it would be his 12th podium. Do I have that right?
Yep.
Wow.
And Nishi would have 3 wins. So
fantastic. That would be great for them. It really would.
We are British Eurosport. Let's cheer Nishi on, shall we? Yes.
Absolutely. I'd love to see them on the podium again.
So, Buemi second, Alexander in third. And just to remind you, Alexander Wirtz, the youngest ever winner of Le Mans at 22 years old in 19...
Welcome back to Eurosport. We have a slow car here going along. I think he's just come out of the pits. This is the Caterham LMP2 car number 41. Tom Kimber-Smith at the wheel. I'm not entirely sure what's wrong with his car, but it did definitely look like it was creeping down the Mulsanne straight, Jeremy.
Sparks coming off the front of it looked like potentially some sort of a puncture, perhaps. And you're right, it came out of the pits just a lap or so ago with Tom Kimber-Smith relieving Eric Lux at the wheel of that car. Here you can see now crawling down the Mulsanne straight. That's going to be a scary feeling too, hasn't it?
Oh, it's horrible. It really is horrible, because all the times you feel like those cars are passing you fast anyway in the LMP1 class, you have no idea until you're creeping along at the speed of a Fiat 500 would be in traffic. You know, it's absolutely horrific, and he's got a long way to go. This is when you really know how long the Le Mans circuit is when you have a problem early on. You're out there for just, it feels like hours. It really does.
Yeah, with cars flying past you, and it's not very wide.
It really isn't, and trying to stay offline is really difficult when you have a problem, because you can't move out of the way quickly. You're trying your best to continuously move off the main racing line, but in order to do that, you've got to take a risk of moving across the track slowly. There will be marshals flailing a white flag to show that there is a slow-moving car that you're approaching. But even so, I mean, we've talked about these incredible speeds that the front runners are doing, and
So
no matter what's out there, it's going to be difficult.
Service for the 47 Morgan Nissan. This is the Chinese car, the KCMG car. Matt Howson getting out of the car, and was that Alexander Imperatori getting into it?
I think it might have been. It's hard to tell, really.
We'll see as soon as he comes back on track. Yeah, here is Peter Dumbreck, the Flying Scotsman, literally in 1999 with Mercedes, but coming back and having a great race here, lying in second at the moment, but that is changing every lap between him, Senna, and Richard Leeds, and Aston Martin having such a strong run in this class. And of course, David Richards telling us last night they want the win for Alan Simonson.
And I have to say, I would love to see that today. I think that would be really great. I'm a big fan of the others that are running at the front, but it would be fitting today for that to happen, I think.
So Tom Kimber-Smith still limping around, and of course Tom's hopes of continuing his winning streak of 3 wins at Le Mans in just 4 appearances. I mean, that's as pro rata as good as Tom Christensen's ever done. But,
lucky bugger.
not today, sadly.
I think a lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
He's limping around, and the car had already fallen some way down the order, hadn't it?
I was going to say, I think most people would be thrilled with 3 finishes at Le Mans out of 4 starts, let alone 3 wins.
Yeah, I have to say, 2 years ago I was on the panel, the Guild of Motoring Writers, which is the motoring journalist organisation, and we voted him Driver of the Year, and that was over Lewis Hamilton. So it just showed how much respect his peers, his motoring journalist peers, have for him.
My goodness.
So Tom's still limping around. He's only got to post 63 at the moment, which is just coming down to Mulsanne corner. That's how long it takes to get around this lap when you know you've got a problem with the car and you need to get it back in one piece.
I think it'll take him on a puncture. Could take him up to 9 minutes, 10 minutes even. I mean, it's going to be a long slog, and the worse that the puncture, or the worse that the tyre gets, the slower he'll need to go to not risk tearing off bits of bodywork and shredding up the radiators and everything. So he's going to have to be really taking it cautiously and trying to not get run over at the same time.
So that's a huge problem if you have a puncture on the last lap, because you have to complete your final lap in 6 minutes, and if you've got bits coming off the car.
The only thing on the last heat, you don't have to worry about just sort of bringing it back slowly. You can bring it doesn't matter how many wheels are on the car as long as you get it to the finish line.
Definitely,
at the end of the race. But you're right, absolutely right, Liz, because the average speed of a front-running lap in LMP2, even not LMP1, is almost 140 miles an hour. It's 137 or 8 miles an hour. That's an average speed for the whole lap. Well, if you try and do those sort of speeds with a tyre flailing around, you're going to do an awful lot of damage. So, 9-10 minutes is quite conceivable. You've got to limp around the whole way, which is what he had to do. Also, what Oliver Jarvis had to do last night in the number 3 Audi R18 e-tron Quattro, because he got a puncture going into the Dunlop curve, so I had to do the lap all the way around.
And they usually say about 30 mile an hour maximum on a puncture. It's sort of a general rule, but a lot of it will be down to what the team's telling you. They'll be watching on the TV when they show the car. Earlier on, we saw a Ferrari that had a puncture, and in my opinion, he probably went a little bit too fast in, and it tore a bunch of the bodywork off the back of the car. And ultimately, you're not saving yourself any time, because whatever small few minutes you've gained by coming back that little bit faster are spent putting an entire new bodywork package on the car. So really, it's down to just patience and telling yourself that this is just where you are, and you've got to just hold it together and bring it in the best speed that's possible for the car.
Just going through Indianapolis as we talk. In comes then for service. This is the number 3 Audi. Marc Genet brings it in. Driver change. So it's going to be full service for this car, Liz?
Yeah, it looks to be that way, going as quickly as they can. We can just see how fast and dialed in the driver changes are. All these teams will have practiced the driver change and the tyre change and the whole pit stop procedure, because they know more than anybody that a race can be won or lost in the pits. Most of these drivers will have the change down to under 30 seconds. They should definitely have it down to that, and that includes everything. Driver in, out, seat insert in, water plugged in, radio plugged in, belts done, finger on the button, ready to start. And that's pretty impressive if you think about it.
Yeah, it certainly is. The number 3 car, with its problems overnight, has got within about 40 seconds of the third place Toyota number 7 car before this pit stop. Another good stop there, I think, though, by...
that was a tidy stop. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Driver change, as he said. There is Stefan Sarazam waiting for this car, Sebastian Buemi, and Sebastian Buemi won't be able to wave to his cousin Natasha Gashnan because she's just gone back out after a pit stop in the Morand Racing Morgan Judd. So
was that a long stop for her?
It was.
I feel like they've been in there for a while.
It was quite long.
Yeah.
So Buemi then on his in-lap, just coming through Indianapolis, that lovely little bank corner. Can you really feel the banking on that?
You can, yeah. I mean, obviously it's not like a huge bank corner, but you can feel every ups and downs of this circuit, and there's much more than you can even see on TV. Even just the little humps in the road just there, they're going over one, you just see the car humping. You feel everything in these race cars, and it's anytime there's any bit of camber on the road, it can either help to hold you in or push you away, so you've got to be really conscious of that all the time.
So photo opportunity for Toyota. They're running together at the moment, second and third cars. They are one lap apart.
But it is.
Yeah, absolutely right. And but incidentally, that car number 41, Tom Kimber-Smith, did make it back to the pit lane, and his sector time through sector 3 here, 240 seconds. So it's a long way back. A regular sector time for a P2 car through there is about a bit over 100 seconds, so cost him a couple of minutes just in that final sector, but he did get it back, and hopefully they can get that car back into the fray without too much damage to that corner.
We expected Buemi to come into the pits. He didn't. He stayed out, and in fact Vert's just trying to pass him as they go up into the Dunlop curves. Vert's trying to claw back that one lap they lost earlier on.
And I suspect perhaps Verts has got fresher tyres than Buemi. If he's due to come in, that might be partly why he's a little bit quicker, but I'm not 100% sure. But looking at their lap times, Sebastian Buemi was quicker on the last lap than Alexander Verts was, but that might not be the case this time around, although his sector times look faster. So we'll wait and see.
Blocked by the Aston there. Buemi just couldn't quite make the pass that Verts has up. Verts has gone ahead of him then.
Looking at who's doing fast lap times right now, Nick Manassian is behind the wheel of the number 49 car, the Oreca. That's the PCOM car, clawing its way back up through the P2 order. He's just done a 3:41.8, quickest time for that car. Also, we've seen Mark Goossens behind the wheel of the 53 Viper. Recently did its quickest time. He did a 3:59.0, which is a very quick time for that Viper. One of the fastest. I think the quickest time is probably done all weekend. Back on board of the number 8 Toyota here. Heading down the Mulsanne straight gives you a really good view of how fast this is in these cars. You can just see everything flying by into the second chicane. You can hear the gears changing very, very fast. They'll now head on down to that run into Mulsanne corner.
Oh, Parc Fermé.
Yeah,
And
but what's amazing is how few cars are in Parc Fermé. I mean, goodness me, here we are, 17 hours or whatever it is into the race now, and generally by this time of the morning there's a lot more cars in there than that. Don't you agree, Mark Cole?
Yeah. Have they brought back the 31 Lotus? I don't know if that was there. I think that went behind the barriers. That's probably still going to be there. So
I think there are a couple cars out of the circuit.
Probably
on there.
no more
but
than
still not many. You're right,
5 or 6, Jeremy. 5 or 6 out of 56 starters.
Especially with the weather we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were a bone dry, hot race, then you go, oh, all right, maybe. But, you know, we've had such mixed conditions, especially in the night, have rain in the night. It's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, what time was that rain shower? Do you know, because it was after 3 o'clock, because it hadn't happened by 3 o'clock.
So it must have been around 4 or so, because we got up at, we were up at, 4:30-ish, and then,
It already happened by then,
yeah.
So again, the Toyotas coming across Aston Martins, it seems that almost every other corner, but running together, and as we said, Verts has just unlapped himself, hasn't quite unlapped himself. He's still being shown as 1 lap behind Buemi, but he is ahead of him now. But of course that's not on the lead lap. So into Porsche curves again, so fast through here, Liz.
Oh, just unbelievably fast. Fastest collection of curves in the whole circuit. 5th gear through most of that. Quite often 4th or 5th through this last piece. Usually it's 4th through the right-hander we saw before the left, but so fast and not very wide either. It's quite narrow. It's very difficult if you meet a car in the middle, because you can come around the left hand extremely fast in an LMP car and have no idea what's in front of you until you've arrived upon it. So it's very difficult.
Imagine Silverstone's Beckett's complex, but with walls on both sides.
Yeah, and faster.
And longer.
Faster and longer. Yeah, it's pretty wild. A lot of fun if you get it right, though. Fantastic.
Of course, British Grand Prix next weekend. There's Lena Gade, winning race director, car director for the #1 car. Not this year, sadly. That broken crankshaft sensor that I suppose any other team would have just packed up and gone home at that, but not Audi. No. They've got a lot of guests here, and they want all 3 cars to finish.
Well, I think any team at Le Mans would have tried their absolute hardest to fix it. However, I don't know if the other teams would have had the resources and the ability to fix the car quite as quickly as they did at Audi. It certainly would have taken a bit longer, but, you know, I think most teams would do absolutely everything possible to finish the race, you know, if they could.
Got a moment here. This is such a close brush with one of the Insamat Porsches, and just comparing the 2 cars. Bit of porpoising there from the Audi.
Yeah, a little bit, and I think the drivers don't really seem to notice that very much. I think it's less than we think from in there, but certainly a porpoising car is a little bit weird to deal with. It sort of messes up your vision, but I question if it's not really as bad as it looks to us, but it's hard to know without speaking to them.
I remember a couple of years ago asking about it, and they said, what porpoising? We didn't notice anything. So here we are, those 2 Toyotas still running together, and this is just a replay of what? This is Buemi going back ahead of Wirtz.
Yeah, I think that looks to be the case, yes.
Stefan Sarazan then waiting to get in, and well, we're going for a break again, and we'll be back. It's now almost 7:30 in the morning here in France. Get a coffee, join us in a moment.
Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the 81st 24 du Mans, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Pit stops here for the the second place car of Sebastian Buemi. Brings his Toyota TS030 hybrid into the pit lane for, we believe, scheduled service. We were talking a few minutes ago about the number of retirements. There have been 7 retirements from the race so far, with how many 7.5 hours to go, and also minus 24, so 16.5 hours in the books. We've lost the 95 car, the 31, the 28, the 25, the 57, the 54, and the 30. Still 7.5 hours to go, but the fewest retirements ever in this race, as pointed out just to me a few minutes ago by Martin Haven, was 16.
Right.
That's the fewest number of retirements. Last year there were 23 retirements in a race. There were actually only 3 retirements in 1923, but there weren't nearly so many. They weren't running nearly so hard either back then. We are on a pretty good pace here to get a lot of cars to the finish line, which really would be very, very impressive.
Only 7 is really not much at all at this stage. When we've made it through the night with only 7 is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is quite incredible.
Come on, this commentator's curse will kick in if you're going like this.
Oh no, I better stop. Yeah.
Don't do this, don't do it.
Oh no.
So if you're just joining us here, 7.5 hours still to go at Le Mans. Tom Christensen leads for Audi in P1. Olivier Pla leads for the Oak Morgan team in P2, 9th overall.